BrokeMan's.
Welcome to the BrokeMan's podcast. We ask that you like, comment, and subscribe if you are on YouTube so that we can continue to push our message out there and let people know that they are not alone and have these awkward and meaningful conversations that are needed. If you're on Spotify, please refer a friend, send it out. And on YouTube, the link below will take you to our store where you can purchase merchandise, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, crop tops, however you feel, to support the podcast and allow us to move forward and build more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you have any topics for podcasts or any subjects that you want to be talked about on the podcast, please send us a comment, email us, send us a message on our Instagram. Go follow us on every social media platform. And when we get that message about a topic you would like to bring up, if you like, we will also mention your name. And then we will have that important conversation. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the BrokeMan's podcast. Today I have with me a very special guest, my best friend's wonderful mother, Stefanie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Stefanie, good morning. I am going to kick it off with a little bit of gratitude. Feel free to join me if you like. But I am grateful for your sons, both of them. They're two of my best friends, and we grow together, we work together, and we are establishing a lot together for the community, for business, everything. And I would not be where I am if it wasn't for Bo. I would not. Bo has done a tremendous amount for me as a person and as a man. He's helped me out so much.
Awesome.
Helped me put my life in order the correct way. He helped out a lot with that, whether he knows it or not, but I'll always give him praise for that. And I'll talk to him after our episode about that, but he did, so I'm very grateful for the way you raised your sons.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that very much.
So tell us about motherhood. Why did you always want to be a mother?
No, I did not. Through my 20s, I was not interested in getting pregnant or having children at all.
What age did you get married?
I got married at 21.
And you didn't want kids?
No,
None at all.
no, no.
Take us on that journey to one kids and what it's like for a woman when nature starts calling on you.
So I think my parents waited about 6 years before they had kids, before they had me. So I thought, well, if we were to have kids, it wouldn't be for at least 6 years. But then I was just like, no, not really interested. So fast forward 9 years to the age of 30. All of a sudden, I hit 30 and my biological clock starts ticking, like hard.
What does that mean for a woman?
That, to me, it means that it's time to start having kids. And you want to have kids.
Really?
Yes.
So it was just screaming at you.
It was screaming at me. Loud and clear.
You needed, oh, wow. So as a woman, you can feel that.
It's literally the clock. You can hear this. To me, it was like tick, 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 tick. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It was, and it was just like, where did this come from? I was not a believer in the biological clock. I don't know. I guess if it was real, I didn't know what it was or what it would do, but that's what it did for me. I mean, it felt like it was literally a clock ticking. And
That's I'm a guy, so, and we have no idea what that feels like. I know we do feel a purpose to have kids and have a family, but a clock, we do not. I don't know if we have a clock. I don't know if we have a clock because we can have kids into our late 60s, and you hear of men having kids in their 70s and whatnot.
80s.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have a clock.
I
And
don't think you do.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. What's it like when you are pregnant? What's that feeling like? Is it scary? Is it amazing? Are you looking forward to it? Is it this wonder that hits? Like, is it just, how is it like?
All the above. All of the above. It's extremely, well, the morning sickness we can do without.
Okay.
Because you never know how that's going to happen or when it's
Yeah.
going to happen. But what's really exciting is when you can finally feel the baby move.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like with my oldest, one day, he was about, what was it, 4 months pregnant, and all of a sudden I felt this, it was like a little fish was zooming around in my stomach.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing. And my youngest, towards the end, it's so cool when you see like the feet or the hand or an elbow, they're stretching in there.
Yeah.
And they just push on you so hard. And you're just like, oh my gosh. And you can just be sitting there and all of a sudden they'll be inside and they give you just a kick as hard as can be. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was teaching, all of a sudden I was like, oh! And
So when you were pregnant, even before you were pregnant, did you want boys or did you want girls?
I wanted boys.
So you knew you'd be a boy mom?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I was going to be a boy mom. I would sit there and put my hands together, look up, say, please give me boys. I just knew that I was a boy's mom. I love the fact that they're so, that they can be rough and tumble, that they just, they wrestle around, they have fun, they get dirty. I loved it when we were able to have our Nerf wars.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. We'd hide. We'd literally, play, what is it? Some of these video games, but with Nerf guns in the house.
What do boys need from their moms?
I think they need to be shown that, yes, it's good to be able to show all range of emotions because we're human. Mm-hmm. So whether you're male or female, you need to be able to show all those range of emotions. However, I think that it is important that within a family unit, however that's made up, mm-hmm. I think that moms need to, first off, they need to set boundaries.
Yes.
They need to set boundaries for their kids or for their boys. They need to teach them empathy. I always talk to my kids, even when they were babies, all the way up. People always want to feel included and needed. I said, you're going to see a kid out on a playground or two, and they're going to be excluded for one reason or another. That's not a kind thing. I'm sure they're hurting for some reason.
Yes.
Therefore, include them. Just because they don't look like you, dress like you, act like you, if they're, include them. If there's more problems beyond that, if there's a really true reason and I said, if it's a harmful situation, that's a whole different situation. But whenever you have the opportunity, include and, say, hey, come on, join the game. Love to play with you.
What other tools what else did you teach your sons?
I taught them it was important to have that no is not a bad word. Mm-hmm. That it's necessary because that ties in with the boundaries.
No is a powerful word.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a necessary word.
Very much so.
Yeah.
if you keep saying yes all the time and the kids end up getting everything that they want.
They're going to think the world owes them everything.
Correct.
And they can take it. Like, you can't. There's a no. No teaches. It's so far out for boundaries of how far it can go, and even into human nature. Like, you can't go that far. You can't do that. Like, learning that no early is very important, and standing on that no and holding the line down, holding the line as a parent, and just letting you have to see it. I believe you have to see it out into the future, what this no is going to do and how helpful it's going to be to them. No is not a bad word.
No, it's really not. And that made me think of a story when Bo was, my oldest was maybe 2 years old, and we were at the grocery store, and I remember he was getting upset because he couldn't have something, at least not right away.
Yes.
So he started crying and fussing and making a little scene about it. He was in the cart, but I was not going to have it. I was strict with my kids, but at the same time, I was able to have a very healthy, positive relationship. Please note, though, I screwed up at times.
Yes. Nobody's perfect, right?
Correct. Nobody. Not your kids, not you.
No.
And you have to forgive each other about that with that, and you have to move on. But I can still remember the cashier giving, as she scanned it, the item he wanted and was upset about, she gave it back to him. No. I took that from her. I said, no, he does not get that. I said, he is not behaving. And the gentleman behind me, and this is what we need to do too as parents to support each other. The gentleman behind me said, he goes, good job to you. He wasn't being condescending.
Yeah.
He was like, good job. He goes, it's great to see positive parenting.
Yes.
Because the next time, because if I had given in to Bo and just said, yeah, you can have it to stop his crying, what would have happened was, I call it upping the ante.
Go for it. I was just thinking the same thing, but go for it. Yeah.
You up the ante, and it allows the kids have just learned, they know where your limits are.
And so they could push it.
They can push it. And so they know that if you've done it here, okay, all I had to do was cry a little bit, my kid, and I got what I wanted.
I could cry a little bit more.
And now the next time, maybe a little bit louder and a little bit longer. Oh, we can't have this. There you go. You've got your toy or your snack. So my sons learned at a very early age, no, you have to behave.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I also wanted to make sure that they learned is that there are different environments in which to behave and how to behave. Just because you can act one way at home, but when you go out in public, don't act a fool. You're representing the family. You're representing yourself. And I feel that way. And that's one other thing that I taught the kids when I said, when I go out in public, I am going to represent you as well.
True. Okay. Very true.
So if I do something stupid and embarrassing that could come back and you hear about it, okay, we're not having that. It just would be awful.
I agree. Well put. I've gotten a chance to watch your sons evolve as men. I've got a chance to watch you interact with your sons, and you treat them like they're men. And when you're with them or you're around them and you guys are hanging out, like you look at them like your sons. You do. Like they're men. And I was thinking, how do you feel about gentle parenting, and when that gentle parenting goes into, because I have some people that they ask me questions about parenting, And I say, hey, I don't think parents are friends. I don't know if they ever will be, but I think they can be. They're still your parents are your parents. It's just the way it's going to be until it's no more. But that just is. It's that way. You guys can hang out. You guys have fun, but that doesn't mean you're friends. Your mom, your father, your permanent guide. Your permanent parents. Mm-hmm. It's just like, no, now we're friends. You're no longer my parent. No, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it works that way, does it?
No, not for me. I want my sons to be, I want to raise my sons to be strong men. And when I say by strong, I think we've lost, I do want to touch on this a little bit.
No, go for it. I would love
because
it.
I feel that the male or the male generation, the last 2 generations or so with men, they've become a little softer.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think things have fluctuated a little bit.
Agreed.
And I have heard from women like how they emasculate their significant others, but then they're expecting this man to be strong and whatever. But you can't have both worlds.
You cannot have both worlds.
You need to build them up. And that's one of the things I want. And strong does not mean aggressive.
It does not.
Those are not synonymous words.
Strong is vulnerable. Strong is gentle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Strong is providing emotional support. Strong is providing a safe space for a woman to be vulnerable, for your kids to be emotional, like supporting all that. True strength, like being there, holding everything down, like truly being there and listening.
Yes.
And solving problems the right way. There's so much that we bring to the table as men and as women, and it often gets ignored. And there's too much behind it nowadays. But like you said, you're correct on that. From what I see, men are afraid to be men.
Yes, and because the thing is, they've been squashed in certain circumstances.
Yes.
And I think it's as a partnership. Regardless of the arrangement of a family, you need to have both parties walk side by side. Mm-hmm. The percentage isn't going to be 50-50. Sometimes if somebody's sick, it's going to be 90-10.
Yep.
It's all about walking side by side.
We have our strengths and weaknesses as men and as men and women, and it's a phenomenal thing. It teaches us everything we need to know, and it's like you said, 90-10, 50-50, 100-100. Like if we're both great, we're both doing great. Some days it's gonna be 60. Some days I need you to pick up the slack has to be picked up.
Exactly.
Our weaknesses and strength is what, and we put it together and learn about it. That's what makes great kids.
Mm-hmm. But touching on the gentle parenting that you were talking about too, having those boundaries for the kids. There was a lady who had been talking to me about her children. They were between the ages of 10 and 13, a boy and a girl. She was just, she says, I just don't know about this gentle parenting. She goes, I'm kind of tired. She goes, actually, I'm always tired. And yes, we get that as parents. We're parenting is a big deal. We do get tired. But if the guidelines and such are not in place, if there aren't any rules and expectations set, then you're going to be very tired. Because then you're going to be, as I say, getting rid of the fires. There's going to be little fires popping up all over the place.
Gentle parenting. What happens when you coddle a boy for too long?
In my opinion, if you coddle a boy too long, their behaviors are reinforced. They're negatively reinforced. They know what they can get away with, or they become, for lack of a better word, lazy,
Peter Pan.
unmotivated. Yes, the Peter Pan syndrome.
Yep. You fix your headphones. I don't want your hair sticking up. I'm sorry. There you go. Perfect. No, you're good. But yeah, Peter Pan syndrome and living in the basement.
Yes, that's what I think of, like with gentle parenting. You've said yes so many times as a parent because you don't want to say no to this child, to your sons, but then at the same time, how are you teaching your son to be a man? How are you teaching your son to be a good partner if you're giving them everything? Because by giving them everything, that your son becomes self-centered. Narcissistic behaviors can then start to show themselves. Yeah, it is just very, and then the result is, from what I've heard from other parents, is that now they've got a child, man-child,
Man-child is correct.
living in the basement, either texting or calling them to bring down food, and waiting on them hand and foot.
They can't live independently, and I've seen with my own two eyes, they don't know how to talk to women. They can't be with a woman.
Yes,
They can't socialize. It's hard for them to socialize.
it is. It's very hard because they haven't been taught any of those skills. And so it's definitely a disservice.
What do they say that when your child goes into the world, there's a good chance they could lose their bodies, but if you keep them at home, they'll lose their soul and their mind.
I would agree with that. Because you're not allowing, you haven't, as a parent, it's up to us to teach our sons that yes, you need to be a strong man, not aggressive, like we talked about. Being strong and aggressive are not synonymous. Walking side by side with your partner, being able to critically think, knowing that there's not just black and white in the sense of right or wrong or yes and no. There are some gray areas at times.
You watch your son. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and maybe backtrack and say, yes, we know what's right and wrong, but there's gray areas with other things.
With that being said, critical thinking, you've raised your sons to think a lot. You gave them autonomy, and you let them be them. What's it like watching that what's it like watching them develop as they get older?
One, I always remember, I did have one of my sons tell me, Mom, you need to let me be a man.
It's powerful.
Or not treat me like a child. So one, I know I did my job there. Because he was actually, and I've always told my sons, this is one thing, they've always known that I have their back. I have told them from childbirth, I will always support you, whether it's something that I'm happy with or unhappy with that you did. I will always be there. I will never abandon you. I will stand by you and do what I can. But I'm sorry, what was the...
No, watching them develop. What's it like to watch your sons develop through the years?
It has been really wonderful seeing them develop because, like I said, that one said, well, let me be a man. So I just step back. Does it sometimes hurt as a parent to hear that they don't need you as much? Yeah, sometimes it does. But for the most part, because I'm a realist, I'm okay with that because that tells me I've done my job. That tells me that they already know I'm here for them. So if they need to come to me, they can and feel safe.
Yes.
But they're ready to stand on their own 2 feet.
I love that. I love that. When it comes to, I'm going to flip it a little bit. When it comes to, I've had this question, I've watched you explain it very well. When it comes to women that question themselves and question their bodies, whether they be too thick or too thin or wherever it goes, what would you say to them? Because I remember you telling me something before about how you felt when it came to that.
I think that we need to be okay with who we are. We don't need, a lot of times we think we need someone else's validation. We don't. We need to just say, yep, this is how I am. If you like it, wonderful. If you don't, move forward and grow and change. If you have something with your body and it's a health issue, that's a whole different.
Yes.
But I think what we're talking about here is,
This is
for physical.
Yeah, this is me. This is who I am. This is where my body is. Yes, I work out. Yes, I take care of myself. Yes, I am very aware of my body, and I do everything I can just to take care of it and stay healthy. And if you don't like the way this is with me taking care of my body and self-care, so the self-care and self-love that I give to myself, if this isn't enough for you, then so be it, and that's okay. If it's not enough for you, then I'm not for you.
Right. And so referring to what
Yeah.
what we had talked about before was I had been dating a guy before I was married, and my body was in perfect shape. I had done all kinds of sports. I was a dancer, and it's kind of appalling now because I was so hard on myself and thought my body was so bad and didn't meet a criteria of what was perfect. And, but the guy I was with, a lot of times it was like, well, ooh, look at her. Ooh, he kept comparing me and looking at other young women and comparing me to them. Or it's like, why aren't you like?
Yes.
Well, because I am not like them. So that was really hard, and that caused this jealousy factor. Because then I would be jealous of other young ladies and say, why isn't my body good enough?
Oh, okay.
Why isn't my body good enough? What did they do to theirs? And then it would lead to, for example, I can still remember I was being really hard on myself, and I stopped eating for a good 3 to 4 days. At that point in time, I was, doing track. I was doing my ballet. And so I was burning all these calories and I was not eating. My clothes fell off me.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it was just really hard.
What can we do better as men to be supportive in situations like that, and even be supportive to women?
Well, I understand that men are visual creatures.
Visual doesn't mean perfection.
Correct.
We love I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
And to the men I know. Imperfections are beautiful. I spoke about this with a guy, one of my friends that were here before. it was funny because we laugh about it. We're like, you too? All right. So we were speaking, and he was like, man, I love women this way, love women that way. And he brought up one of the factors that, believe it or not, a lot of guys talk about. It's a secret, but we don't tell much. When a woman has a little bit of pudge, we love it for some natural, nature, animalistic reason.
Nice.
We do. And me and him laughed about it. It was like, you too? I was like, yeah, man. It's just, for us, I don't know if it's attractive because we're animals and we see that a woman can bear kids. I have no idea why. But I've had this conversation multiple times through my 20s and 30s with men. With actual men who accept women. Imperfections are beautiful. Stretch marks are absolutely beautiful. All that. And we've had these conversations. We laugh about it because we like it. We enjoy it. We're not looking for this ripped six-pack everything. We just don't.
Interesting that you say that because now, mind you, I'm only 38.
All right.
And I'm sticking to it.
All right.
Okay, so those of you who know me know my true age. That being said, I still think that what men want are the perfect body, is the perfect body.
I can't stand it. The perfect body, for me as a guy, the perfect body comes with a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. The perfect body comes with a lot of trouble because if you're chasing the perfect body, a lot of times that's what you're chasing. That's what your mind is full of, and everything is focused on the perfect body, not focused on the actual things in life. Are you a good woman? Are you going to be there for me? Are you going to be able to love me? Are we going to be able to be together? Mm-hmm. Chasing the perfect body is not it. As a man, I've chased the perfect body. It's depressing. It doesn't exist.
And that's interesting. I'm happy to hear your side of that.
It's imaginary. It doesn't exist. The perfect body doesn't exist. And oftentimes when I've ran into women with perfect bodies, they were not good women.
I was going to say a lot of times there's
and it's fake. And I don't do fake. Mm-hmm. Authentic. I do not do fake. I don't find it the least bit attractive. Mm-hmm. I do not. But yeah.
Interesting. I'm very glad you said that because, like I said, now all these years later, I still have that in my head.
Fair.
What does that say?
Yeah, that's real.
And that just, I think, goes to what have I continued to be told as not as just a young woman, but as a woman. And not necessarily, and maybe by, social media and what have you, but sometimes by others.
So do women compare themselves to other women? Is it even men now? Well, men are involved in it, but a lot of times, more often than not, well, a lot of times I do see women just comparing themselves to women. It has nothing to do with what the guy says. The guy can say, no, I don't find that attractive and whatnot, but she'll still chase it because she's comparing herself to other women.
I think younger women do that.
Yes.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely more so than older women. Older women just tend to tell you like it is. Like the other day at work, somebody says to me, I needed a jacket for something, and one of my team members says to the boss, yeah, she needs a big one. A big jacket. Seriously, did you really need to say that? So I'm being very vulnerable here by saying that because I wouldn't normally say something like that.
That's okay. I wanted to go back to the imperfections. The perfection, when you see a lot of women on social media, are these women with these perfect bodies on social media in the fantasy world, sounds amazing. In a real world, that is it's too much. It's not a thing. And a lot of times you see people with perfect bodies are aiming towards these perfect bodies and surgeries and whatnot. A lot of times they're obsessed with themselves. And there's no room for another person. There's another person there, but there's no real room for another person.
Yes.
And that's from me talking from experience of being with women like that. But to the women out there, your imperfections are beautiful. You got a pudgy stomach, beautiful. You got stretch marks, beautiful. If you're taking care of yourself and active in life and loving yourself and being active in life, your body is your body. And somebody is going to love you for that. Imperfections are absolutely beautiful.
Well, I think we need to remind ourselves too that, I mean, on social media or any type of media, really, there's always perfection. They always
It is.
alter
It
it.
even goes into cartoons.
Correct.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
video games, like these perfect women with everything's big here, small there. It's not real.
No. No. And so there's that, it's always adjusted or modified or something.
My eyes find it disgusting. It just does. When I see women constantly obsessed with their bodies and trying to aim for the perfect body, it's unattractive to me.
And when you said too that, they don't have any room for anybody up here because what is their main focus 24/7?
Yes.
It's to have or achieve that perfect body, which is an endless pursuit because it's not
There's
happening.
a lot of attention that comes with that. Like we get trapped in a fantasy. We're visual creatures. We think it's good, and it's not what we actually want. It's just we're visual. So it looks good. So it's a lot that goes into it.
Yep.
But I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm not afraid to say that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Imperfections are beautiful. Because men, we are not perfect. We don't have perfect bodies. And even men have body dysmorphia and body image issues. I go through my own phases with that. And no, our bodies aren't perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. So you got to learn how to love people through that and accept them. And get away from that fantasy world, I would say.
I would too. I mean, we talk about plastic surgery too with young ladies, and it's and young men and different things like that. And to each his own. However, to what extreme?
To what extreme? People go men and women nowadays are going very extreme with this plastic surgery thing. So yeah, I'll pass. With that being said, what type of women do you want your sons to end up being with?
I want them to be with women who support them in the sense that will stand by them, that they are kind, funny, intelligent. They're just really down to earth women that are there to be happy and for my son to take care of and for them to take care of my son and their children, if they so choose.
And what scares you as a mother? Besides everything, what? When it comes, all right, we can narrow it down. When it comes to your sons dating and being with women, what scares you?
All right, I'll be honest. Women who, I don't want to feel like this is an interview.
No,
wink, wink. Women who have demonstrated, shall I say, unusual behavior.
Perfect.
Or inappropriate behavior that could result in causing trouble for or not allowing my sons to live up to the certain expectations that you would have in a normal, healthy relationship.
Okay. I like that. Any words for the women out there who are mothers to sons?
Love them. If you expect them to behave, how do I put this? If you want them to become a fine young man or a fine man, read about it, learn about it, have the man in your life, the child's father, stepfather, work together so that there's this positive male influence. But I think it's Can you repeat the question one more time? I'm sorry.
I almost forgot the question. Sorry. No, just what advice do you have out there for women, for
Women who are
boy
raising
moms?
for moms,
Yeah, boy moms.
boy moms. Yeah, just I guess yeah, be there for them. Give them advice when they need it. Allow them to make their mistakes.
Allow them
Help.
to make their mistakes.
Help them grow. Don't meddle.
There you go. That's a big one. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
Don't be giving advice and everything else if they don't want it. Unless it's something that is, and of course, something earth-shattering or something that may be of great,
Yes.
great concern.
Don't meddle.
Right. Don't meddle. But I think it's just really important that they know that they're accepted by you and loved and supported.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys will, for the algorithm to continue to get these messages out there to the ones that need to hear these important, meaningful conversations, please like, comment, and subscribe. It is the only way to get the algorithm to push these conversations to the front of the YouTube pages. And if you click the link below, it'll take you to the BrokeMan'sPodcast.net, where you can purchase hat, hoodie, t-shirt, beanie to show support so we can continue to grow. And share this with your family, friends, and whoever out there. It's a way of networking and socializing to get these things out there. And show some support. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Stefanie.
Thank you,
Miss
Gary.
Stefanie. Absolutely.